It's time for a change to my entire YouTube channel. Since 2015, I've been on this channel just only doing things aimlessly. Things that, while at times felt cool to me at the moment, never once really had that passion, endeavor. But it wasn't until recently when I started looking back at some of my old projects, some of my old videos, and even some of my old edits, that I started seeing something a lot more different. That I started remembering something a lot more different. And in that entire remembrance that I was going through, I started seeing that at the end of the day, I like to do some pretty weird shits. Even if it was still kind of following the status quo, there was so much enjoyment that I started doing with certain editing that I just had a lot more fun in it. And it wasn't until recently that conversation was posed on me that I didn't really know what I was going to do with this YouTube channel. Sure, I had subscribers and sure I made cool videos, but none of it felt like I was really doing a lot. And so for this video, I wanted to ask myself a sort of question that is, if I want to change, where should I go to? And I think the best way to start off with trying to figure out where you want to go for a change is to ask yourself more of a question: where did it all begin? And unfortunately for me, it began in 2015, back when the channel first started. Since 2015, a lot of things that have made me who I am and this channel have always been right at the surface. At 2015, I only started YouTube and I didn't really know what I wanted to do for it. At the time, I was mostly just playing what everyone was playing at the time, Slither.io and Super Smash Flash. I have no regrets and I personally loved it. However, at that time, I started to slowly begin to just watch stuff for the entertainment, never really playing certain games unless certain people like, say, Markiplier or Jacksepticeye at the time were playing games that I found a lot more fun, which again was Slither.io, FNAF 2, or whatever videos at the time really occurred. However, after this point, I slowly just didn't do anything because I sort of left the channel there, as I've been doing for a long while. And that would only begin to grow worse until around 2020, if I remember correctly. I think it was 2020. I'm not 100% sure. But around 2020, 2021, maybe 2022 even. At that time, that's when I slowly started to kick back up more YouTube videos. Or at the time when shorts were available. When shorts finally became available, I was able to just start doing stuff because why not? And at that point, I started seeing something a lot more fun: edits. And if you've seen anything on shorts, you've seen that there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of versus edits or just cool edits or whoever white type of edits. And naturally, I just started to find the trend. Initially, when I kept doing that trend, I just sat here and said, well, I was having fun with it. Or even more importantly, that I was just doing it for more views, more subscribers, more on and so forth. But the more I kept doing it, the more hollow and vain it felt like I was doing it for. I felt like if I kept doing it over and over and over and over again, surely I was going to get a lot more. I mean, at the time, one video of mine started blowing up and I was really just feeling myself like I was out here changing the diapers of Christ. It is until I started to put more actual effort into some of my videos. At the time, I just was playing Demon Slayer, Kami no Chronicles, and I was really putting in a lot. I was having fun, but at the same time, I also kept thinking to myself, well, let me just make sure I get this done. Well, let me make sure I have this right, or let me make sure, I'm sorry, excuse me, to make sure I stand out from the crowd. And while I did do as best as I can, there were some moments that I genuinely felt lazy. And I'm gonna be real with you, the Demon Slayer game, it was still fun, and even when you go back to it now, it's also fun until you fight demons, which ironically enough kind of ruined the game for me. But you know what, that's alright, we'll live about that. So going all the way now to here we are now, I started to see something more of a dichotomatic change, since at that time I was slowly wanting to do a lot more of a different type of content. Rather than me just playing video games and just leaving music out in the background just so it could get views, I wanted to do something more different. I started watching videos that felt a lot more introspective, and I wanted to wonder, could I be introspective? And when I kept trying to be, initially it was first great, then good, then bad, and well, I won't lie to you and say I didn't have a lot of time and a lot of struggle getting to that point. I mean, even now, as a 20-year-old who graduated high school around 2 years ago, I'm still trying to be a lot more introspective in my manga.
And as I began to start reading manga, I started seeing a lot more differences. As I started reading shows or TV or just games overall, I started to notice how more detailed I was. I started looking at so many things that were always there. There would be moments in shows where characters just didn't say a word, but you can tell what they're thinking. And for me, that show was Green Lantern, the animated series. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you do. Has the fucking coolest voice cast. Josh Keaton as Green Lantern is something I never knew I needed until I had it. And holy shit, the story was just beautiful. But in that moment, as I was watching that show, so many things was running through my head. Just who was going to do what, how many characters doing what. Will Hal finally be able to have season 2? Will he finally get his shit together back with Carol? We didn't know, and maybe I was wrong, or maybe I was right. Hopefully we'll never know. Will Razor finally get Aya? But it was around that time, which was recently around 2023, that's when I slowly started realizing just how much of a difference where I was lying with. By comparison, before 2015, I was always just into gaming. I loved gaming. It was fun. It was great. But along the time I started growing up, I started to realize that maybe I should do something a little more deeper. There are so many times where you could just be sitting up straight at night where you just don't know what you're doing, how you're doing, and where you're gonna go from it. And to me, that was just where I usually wanted to go. I wanted to just see what would have happened if I just started to apply myself. And considering the fact that I'm the type of guy who would try to endlessly apply himself and then immediately see someone who does it better and get immediately discouraged from doing it, that was just kind of my motto, my chief. If someone's already done it better, what would be the point of you doing it? And now, where I am now, I'm figuring out that that's not always the case. If you've already got the original plan, why not stick with it, so on and so forth. And so that's what I want to do. For this channel, I want to stick with something a lot more. So I'm slowly wanting to shy away from gaming, because while gaming is fun, it's something I want to do in my own personal time where I get to have the downtime of my life and just play games. I want to talk about stuff that makes me happy. I want to have weird ideas that bounce from wall to wall. I came into this video with no script, so my thoughts are pretty much going to be all over the place. And from now on and so forth, I want to make something that allows me to express something that I have to share. Something that, while others could probably do better, I'm still able to do because I figured might as well do it. I've already came this far, and I want to see what happens when I push myself. So with all that being stated, if you made it to the end of the video, which is probably a relatively short video, I want to say thank you, and got a lot of videos planned for the future. So again, thank you. I've been AFK for a long while, and I've been dropping random shorts just to keep my channel a little relevant, but that's not at all what I should do. At this point in my life, I should change and challenge myself on that question. At the beginning of 2024, I told myself that I wanted to master myself, the same way Kratos went to Valhalla. And for me right now, I want to do that and continuously push. So, with all that being stated, I have no thing left to say, but thank you for sticking around, and I hope you guys enjoy this new direction I want to take the channel in.